Welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Your host, Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Los, and of course, Kristina Lou, who is this radio show producer, never disappoints ever, and also the Director of Senior Citizen Affairs for Project Independence. Now we're with the Talk of the Town segment. Great guest. Ron's a true friend and family member, I think we can say. I think he even said he's like a first cousin. Mm-hmm. So it was great.
And that's, first of all, it's so great to be back, and what a show to come back with. We were like off for a little bit, and it was just such a positive, inspirational, I have so much, I'm multitasking work, but I was so engaged.
I could tell.
In the interview, It's just, and I think it really just symbolized everything we constantly preach on this show. And Beck, when you had mentioned John, like I was just sitting here thinking the same thing, because it was something we always talked about. And I think it's such an important message and just an interesting message about just starting this new chapter of your life, when you age and finding, new things that you were interested in or want to pursue and making it successful. And Ron is just fabulous. And we have so many people. I was also sitting here reflecting on since PI's been around for so long, we have so many people that have kind of been involved in the journey throughout, that have seen it just as a little tiny baby, and have been our champions, and he totally gets the program. And it was just it's just nice to have all these little cousins that we have out in the community floating around of Project Independence.
Now his show is a podcast. What makes a show a podcast?
So you could it's essentially our show concept is kind of like a podcast, /pod, because you could listen to it, kind of on demand. So it's like
a pop-up kind of a
but
thing.
Do you have to go through a certain podcast app or site?
So a podcast is usually on, his podcast is on a bunch of different mediums. So let's say you have an iPhone, you have a little podcast icon, and you just click on that, and you would type in, the name of his show, and then it comes up. You can get it. I think it's set on Spotify. There's a bunch of different ways that you listen to podcasts. That if you just type in his podcast,
but ours is technically not a podcast.
Well, we could but I mean, we have demand features because you can get it from our website or on YouTube. So we're kind of in that gray area.
That's your podcast app.
Right. And but Dan said we can be a podcast if we want. So you see, Dan is like the Wizard of Oz. He just grants wishes from behind the curtain. I really like that. But yeah, so Ron was just great, and I'm definitely going to check out his show because
and he likes checklists.
Just say it and it will happen. We're a podcast.
Checklist, Otto, and that is something that Otto and I, our ears perked up on that. So it's just it was really a wonderful interview, and just filled with golden nuggets. I was sitting here and I was just he was just throwing out the golden nuggets. I really love the term yolder. I'm gonna use it. I like
Yolder.
I really like that, and it was just great. So good job, guys. Really.
And I feel like it was I too felt a very strong connection to John Ryan, how he was always very positive in even the darkest of times. He would be on the show if he could possibly be on in any concept. If it was 10 minutes, he would do it because it brought him joy too. No,
it's so good. And I'm going to try not to cry. So fingers crossed for Kristina.
But I'm just saying that a whole connection that, I don't know, Kristina, you were saying it's like he gets it. No, Ron, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's in a different way than other people get, the whole successful aging and, and I know I talked a lot about this with John, and he's just on my mind, but in a very positive way.
Yeah.
And the way that, you learn from him is understanding your limits too, right? No one people have this whole thing, you don't want to be limited, but you know what? There's limits for everything, right?
Right.
like, speeding limits,
Of
you
course.
can't go over. Why? Because if you go too fast, it's not good. You can have an accident, So when you get older, certain things become more limited, whether you're doing yoga or running, you have arthritis in the knee, whatever it is. So, okay, what can you do to replace that and move on? Like, there's like this thing of
it's like you can't get caught up in the limit,
but not throwing in the towel.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. It's like, all right, I can't do that, but I can do this.
Well, if anybody was a classic example, if you go through what John Ryan went through, we have no idea how bad it really was because we're not the ones who went through it. But John always was determined to try to do what he could, no matter how bad it was. Almost up to near the end, actually.
Well, and I think John Ryan's on all of our minds because his there's a memorial coming up for him and the anniversary of the radio show. It's a lot of things that he was so involved in, and his family and one of his friends had reached out to me recently to update. We have like a little memorial page website, and they wanted me to do like the bio and add pictures and stuff, and that's exactly what I said because he was literally going through a very difficult journey for many, many years, but still found the time to care about any person he met. And everyone is the same thing. If you knew John, you were just blessed, because he really just made everyone feel special. He remembered things about you, and the fact that he was going through so much is just incredible that he was just a special person.
What's the website, the memorial website?
So it's forevermissed.com. I'll definitely find the exact
Forever?
I think it's forevermissed.com. I'll have to pull it up to see. But
Forever Ness, Ness?
No, missed. Like I miss you.
Oh, Forever Missed.
Yeah. But and everyone's thing, is saying, that it was just, he was just a special human being. So, and that really preached positivity and to have that kind of outlook, especially in times that it's not that easy. So,
and it being the great man that he was, he had this gift, even though we all felt that we had this very special relationship with him, and you felt special because of it. He had that kind of magnetism, and it's just everybody you talk to who knew John, it's just like, oh, we had very special, friendship. I'm like, wait a minute. I had this special. Oh, you had this. Wait a minute. It was, and that's just how, he made you feel like you were special and you were important.
And I have to laugh because I was going through, gathering pictures for his wife and stuff that I had. And I was looking, I had saved a lot of our old text messages because, he was like a second dad to me. We would just talk, and he would, he was just always, my biggest fan in everything I did. And I had to laugh because towards the end when he was in the hospital, I would always exchange little gifts, shocker. If anyone's listened to the show, Kristina exchanging little gifts with people. But it was always very inspirational. So he would buy me little things, and we loved crystals and all these little things. And there's all these pictures that I have of him that he would send me these selfies when he was in the hospital. So he has his hospital gown on, and he's holding the little crystal thing that I gave him. And it was just, that was him. And it brought such a smile to my face. Here he is in the hospital with his hospital gown, taking these selfies.
I'm sorry, but that's a classic example of what you said, Beth. I also have a text message that I received from him while he was in the hospital in the final stages, actually. And I'm keeping that one, but he made everybody feel important. Yep. He had a gift.
And it just shows you, something, for everyone to aspire. Whether you're listening to this and knew John or you didn't know John, I think you can get the gist of what, kind of human he was, and to kind of, it's an inspiration to live your life that way, right? So that's what our whole
that's the message. That's the message, right?
And it's certainly not easy. And, if the world was full of all John Ryans, it would be a happier place. But I think it's just something to always kind of remember. I think we're talking about this successful aging, and I get it, and you guys addressed it perfectly. aging can be difficult. There can be little hurdles or ailments or illness, you're throwing curveballs, all the time. And I think we're talking about just aging in general. We're not even talking about seniors, just getting older, like you're faced with more kind of things you got to deal with. And I just think it was just such a perfect way of like, just, look on the bright side, right? We're always like trying to find the silver lining. So,
and you know what, too, Kay was thinking about is with aging is it's not unknown.
right.
It's like we have a lot of power to plan appropriately because we know, like he was saying, 2/3 of people 65 are going to need long-term care eventually.
Right.
So we know as we reach certain decades what maybe more limitations there might be. So what can we plan ahead and do to kind of still have fun?
Yeah.
Still do the things that are going to make us happy, still stay active, cognitive usage, so it's there, and with things like Project Independence and people like Ron and Otto, also
gotta, like, really find those
Cox
people
is
in life.
a great supportive Project Independence. So I don't know where we would be, we definitely wouldn't be here without Dan. So kudos, to Dan and of course 88.1 FM. But
Dan's probably like, oh God, there Kristina goes again crying.
Kristina, okay.
There she goes again. But I was like thinking also, we had mentioned about fitness, and the fitness classes just starting, and the Project Independence exercise classes, and like I was just thinking about that. I mean, the amount of calls and people who register for these classes, and like it was promoted and filled like within like a week. It's like the turnaround
within a day. I had to close 3 classes.
That's what I'm saying. Like that to me is just so incredible, because a lot of those people weren't some fitness gurus. They discovered this later in life,
Yes.
and it's something like just sitting on for example, today I'm wearing my other social work hat where I answer all like the service requests and assign them while they come in. And just this morning, while you guys are on the show, there was a handful of calls that came in with people who, were doing their routine of watching North Hempstead TV to do the exercise classes. And they were not happy because there was like, it was not playing, right? So
pixelating or something, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, there's a new system going on. So, but I was just, that showed me like this has become a routine in their lives.
Right.
So they get up in the morning, and these 2 people in particular that called also take in-person classes. So, here it is. It's like they're doing the in-person, they're doing the watching it on North Hempstead TV and doing it. And I was just sitting here like, that's just so cool. That's actually something that Project Independence, Beck, and kudos to you, because this is like your baby, the exercise program and all the work that goes into it to keep it smooth. It's just it's really just an amazing piece of
a different thought. Beck, you mentioned the word fear before. Talking to a lot of people lately about mental health, it seems that fear is one of the primary triggers of mental health problems. Fear when you're a kid, a teenager, whatever, you're going into high school. You don't have any friends, and how old are you going to be, and you're going to go to college and whatever. And I think that holds true later in life too. The fear of what is going to happen. Something's going to happen, but what is it? And I think one of the mental mind tricks you got to play with yourself is don't think about that. You can't think about things that might happen. If maybe if whatever, if this happens, you can think about certain things in the planning process, and then you have to shut that door and go where you are, mindfulness of now.
Right. You can project positive things too. It can, it doesn't always have to be negative. But I think part of what you're saying, Otto, too, is under, the fear of what? Like, getting to the bottom. What are you afraid of? Well, I'm afraid of getting old because I don't want to get arthritis or whatever the reason. Well, planning for that and knowing that there are things you can do even if things like that happen.
Yeah, and you can't plan for everything. It's like when you write a will, you can write a will. Oh, if something happens to this person and they're married to this person, what do I do with that person? And blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. And you can go through 40 scenarios and you can't plan them all. You just can't. You got to try your best with the top level part of it. And that's all you
Right.
can do.
Yeah, it's just it's just so interesting because this whole successful aging cloud is really just something that project so much of what we really talk about here with planning and doing all these things all kind of ties into just making it successful everyone right, that's just the goal. So
Kudos to you, Kristina, because definitely the last few guests I've talked to have all been positive spins, even with the Alzheimer's, healthier, eating healthier, getting rid of certain things in your diet, exercising, doing things even when you're in a, nasty disease that maybe it won't, it's not a cure, but it can help in a lot of different ways, So yeah,
Yeah, and
I
I
like
think
that. It's
that
a positive
it is,
stuff.
and I think that that's the good thing, about kind of where we're at now, and this touch upon like the focus of people with mental health and whatnot, and it's just it all kind of ties in. So like back in the day when we were doing PI, things were very medical, like the programs and like how to not get a stroke, it's like, and like now I think we're realizing how important it is to kind of have this positive outlook mixed into these important topics.
Right. All right. Well, on that note, we have to take a quick break. You're listening to Project Independence and You, talk of the town, and we will be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Los, and of course, Kristina Liu, who is this radio show producer. And we are now in the Talk of the Town segment, which is also known as the Kristina Liu Show. Kristina, we have an anniversary coming up.
We do. We have our big 11th anniversary coming up. So that is going to be not next week, but the following week. We will have on the supervisor. It'll be a lot of us just recapping things. And, we do this every week. And I love when the anniversary comes to like look back and see the plethora of topics and guests, and there's been so many, especially this year, that we've really had. And next week we're going to have on also part of the radio family, Dr. Larry Cardano, who's been on the show a bunch of times, is going to do hearing loss prevention and how treatment can maintain cognitive function and independence.
Oh, well, is this your doctor, Otto?
Yeah, he's also going to talk about the new over-the-counter hearing devices.
Oh, great.
Which is a current thing.
Cool.
And, address the fact that it's a real scenario and where does it fit and where doesn't it fit, that kind of thing.
Great. So Larry's always wonderful on the show. He's always gives us.
Yeah, I mean, he's honest and straightforward. And, I've been going to him for a long time, just full disclosure. And I would never have somebody like that on the show if I didn't have confidence in his word, which is what we try to do here, is to get people who know their topics and talk about them honestly and, to educate us and help us make decisions, really.
Absolutely.
And hearing is a super, super critical function. Hearing, vision, my favorite, I got a new favorite thing, and that is that seniors need M&Ms. All right.
Okay.
And what is M&M's? M&M's is
I like it.
mobility and mind.
Mobility and mind. I like it.
Right. And part of mind is hearing. If you can't hear, your mind's not going to work too good. And mobility, things like your yoga, whatever can contribute to those M&Ms.
I like it.
Right.
I
Mobility,
think both of
movement.
them
I mean,
are.
I got excited. I thought you were just preaching to eat M&Ms, and I
Yeah.
was going to sign up. I
No,
was like,
but
all right.
I think it catches, the feeling.
It is.
M&Ms, a lot of people like M&Ms.
I love it. I mean, who doesn't like it? There's such a
Well, I
variety.
worked for a company that had M&Ms all over the place. I might have told this story before, but maybe not. When we used to have, and I didn't work for the candy part, but we had access to anything we wanted for free. And whenever we would go to a big sales meeting with a customer or whatever, I would make sure I bought a big box of a display box of M&Ms with packs in them and put them in the middle of the table at 9 o'clock in the morning. And it's amazing how many people sucked up those bags, at 9 o'clock in the morning and actually sat there and ate M&Ms.
Yeah, listen, there's
during
a
the
way to
meeting.
jumpstart your morning, with some
So it's
M&Ms.
kind of a chocolate addictive type of product.
I have a very OCD way of eating M&Ms, and I can never eat one at a time. I have to have one on each side of my mouth because I
Yeah,
feel
I'm a
like
one at
when
a
I was
time.
younger, huh?
I can eat one at a time, and I don't need to eat a lot of them. I have a very a good gift, I guess, that I can eat candy. I can be satisfied with a candy or a
Me
cookie
too. Yeah,
with
just
just
a taste.
one or two of them.
It's all about moderation, right? That's what we're always talking about on the show. And Beck just
Yeah.
needs 2 on each side. Beck's.
Yeah, I need one on each side, and I don't have to eat the whole bag, but it's a thing. I just can't, do it. Like Kristina always gives me chocolate, dark chocolate, because she knows I love it. I break it, and I have to have one on each side.
I like
You know, you know.
Christina's going to take the rest of them away.
Is Dan going to have like a little cuckoo sound in the background?
Well, very interesting, guys. And then also back to what's coming.
What's coming on in the town?
We had mentioned on September 23rd is our anniversary show, and then September 30th, we have on Fran Green, who is the flirting, dating, and relationship coach and author, another friend of the show. She will be discussing tips to reconnecting after quarantine. I think a lot of people still feel in this kind of weird limbo. They're not sure how to act. They're not sure what to do. I mean, listen, I know half the time I am. It's been very hard. We've been our brains have been thrown through like a washing machine cycle. Where it's like I don't know the rules ever. I don't know what to do. So it's still like an awkward thing. And for a lot of people, they don't know how to really get like back out there. So Fran will have a funny spin, I'm sure, on how to get out there and reconnect. So that's that. And then we are booked for October. On October 7th, I'm really excited in this successful aging kind of arena. Monica Corcoran-Harrell, who is actually related to the commissioner of our department, Kim. She's an author, and she's a founder of this site called Pretty Ripe. She came out with this great article recently.
What's the site name again, Kristina?
Pretty Ripe.
Pretty Ripe.
Pretty Ripe, yeah. But she came out with an article in New York Magazine, and it was such a wonderful article. And it was about her mother, who is quite the spitfire of a woman, and she was always led a very active life, and now that she was in her 80s, she had moved to be closer to the daughter and had kind of lost her friend group and lost her mojo of going out, and it's really discussed in a funny way about how the daughter got like scheduled play dates for her mom to get back out there, and it's just such a inspirational kind of story about really just how to age gracefully and successfully and to be active, so that'll be on. It's gonna be a great segment. So that's October 7th. October 14th, of course, we have on Barry Klitzberg, who is the assistant program coordinator at the HiCap program, to discuss Medicare 2023 updates and open enrollment, because that period will be starting. So he'll be on. Then we have a repeated show coming up on October 21st, and then October 28th, we have 2 women who are with the National Aging in Place Council Long Island chapter, which is a really interesting organization. that pulls a lot. I know Ron actually has been involved with them as well. Ron Royal, who's on our previous segment. So they're going to be on telling us all about that, because that's a great resource, a rich organization. So we're just flying through, guys. We are booked for that, and so there's a lot of great topics coming up, and I'm sure along the way we'll have surprise guests too. So check it out. And if you've ever missed a show that you want to check, you want to see if we talked about a particular topic, you can go to the Project Independence website to see all of our archive shows. And you could also go to our YouTube page with WCWP Studios and check out previous interviews as well. So good stuff, guys. Definitely check it out. Also, everyone hopefully got in the mail their copy of the Pioneer newsletter. It's really a great resource. If you did not get it, please call 311.
Oh, it's right here,
There you go.
but it's
Or
backwards.
if you have, I like it. And if you have an address change or anything, please just call 311 or 516-869-6311. And I will make sure that everything is updated. So definitely
You
check
did
that
an
out.
excellent job on that, by the way.
I know.
Thank you. Thanks. I thought it came out great.
Fabulous.
You know, we have a lot of kind of positive, mindful articles. Of course,
There's
Otto
not a lot
has
of
his.
fluff. It's meaty.
What'd you say?
There's not a lot of fluff. It's meaty.
That's right. We don't do a lot of fluff. You know, it's very hard, because I always laugh, because when I send in the first draft, it is just jam-packed with so much information that I know will never fully fit in the newsletter, because it's like it would be a full book. You know, we have limited pages, you know, and you want it to be a lot of information. And what's good is we have so many programs coming up, so there was so much to put in here. But we have an article on the benefits of walking and kind of how to do mindful walking. A program is coming up, and there's going to be a couple of them throughout the fall. But let me give you the date, because we're always talking about, you know, getting out there and walking. And we have this thing called a discovery walk. And it's
Yeah.
going to be at the Outdoor Museum, Manhasset Bay Walk, on Tuesday, September 13th. So that's next week already. It's going to be led by Port Washington North Mayor Robert Weitzner, and it's a stroll along the beautiful waterfront in Port Washington. So while you're looking at the views, there's also going to be a little bit about the history of it, and the impact that it has on the community. So that's going to be on Tuesday, September 13th at 11 a.m. Registration's required, so call and register, and then you'll get the exact information on where to meet once you register. There's that at Clinton G. Martin Park. I see that there, you know, I don't know if it's fully completed, but it looks like it's made a lot of progress. There's a little walking path that they did around the beautiful park, so you can do that. And there's so many parks in North Hempstead that you can kind of do this all walking, you know, being part of nature, being grounded in nature as well. And I love this because I throw all these terms to my husband, and I absolutely love that my you know, Jay will throw out these words. We were at the beach the other day, and he, you know, they laugh at me because I fully sit on the sand. My friends all call me a sand monster because I'm always covered in sand when I go to the beach. I like to sit on the beach. I like to be one with the sand. And then my husband just had to dive in, and he said, you know, I'm going to ground too with you and do it. So it's important to get out there and appreciate nature. And now it's hopefully not going to be so hot, so it's a perfect time to do all these walks. So that's in the Pioneer, just kind of how you do a mindful walk and the positive effects of that. And then some tips on boosting your health. We have about our taxi program. We have an article from Fran Green about reconnecting after quarantine. Of course, we have Otto's blurb from him as well about staying connected. And there's just so much about all these great programs that we have that I'm definitely going to touch upon in this segment, because I can't believe we're already in September and they're all beginning to kick off essentially next week, which is really, really exciting stuff. We have also coming up next week is our advisory committee meeting. You know, we had a little break for the summer, but now we are back. So I encourage everyone to come and check it out. It is still going to be both in person and virtual. It's on Wednesday, September 14th at 10 a.m. at Clinton G. Martin Park. We are actually going to have a speaker that we had that was on the show not that long ago from PSEG, talk about the advocacy program they have at PSEG and just the different programs available. So we thought we would spread that to our advisory committee. Please register because we like to get
You'll have to keep me posted. You'll have to keep me posted. I'm gonna be using your towel that you gave me for the Wayward Boys Club on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be out.
Oh, Otto. So Otto has his
Greenport.
yearly trip with his friends, which is great. We'll let that slide, Otto. I really love that you guys do that every year. So I will give you.
74th year.
That's so great. Look at you
Not
guys.
for me. I haven't been there 74 years, but
That's all right. You've been there probably for a good amount of it. So
yeah, 62. I went the first time, 1962. So that puts it at 60 years.
yeah, I like that he goes, "Oh, I haven't been there for I've been there for 60 years," and I think that's a pretty amazing tradition.
Golf, fish.
I love it. That's one of my favorite things, Otto. When you told me that, when that Wayward Boys Club, I was sold on the whole thing. That really just melted my
Still
heart.
got the towel ready. We had it postponed because of COVID. Then we had something else happen. 2 people got COVID. We were supposed to go back in June. So now we finally going to do it next week.
Good. And Otto's referring to the customized golf towel I gave him last year for his birthday with a little logo that said the Wayward Boys Club, golf and fishing. Because
I should get it and hold it.
But unfortunately, not everyone is so lucky to have this golf fishing trip. So you can come to our advisory committee meeting on September 14th. And if you would like to do it virtually, call 311 or 516-869-6311 and we'll get you the link. Because it's really a great thing. It was so nice. There was a bunch of women that were doing some kind of program over at Clinton G. Martin Park, and then they came in and were asking all these questions about the advisory committee. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people to come join us. And it's really great to still have this virtual option for people that might not be able to get out or might be hesitant to get out. So once again, Wednesday, September 14th, please come join us. That is that. We have so many new programs beginning in addition to some of our oldies but goodies. The Blankets of Love group is in full force, started meeting this week at Clinton G. Martin Park. So that meets on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. And that's really, if you have a knack for crafting beautiful blankets and crocheting, this is the group for you. They are an incredible group of women who create these blankets and then donate it to amazing causes in the community. So it's just such a win-win group. One of my favorites. We also have our caregiver to a spouse support group that is remaining virtual, which actually worked out for them. So that's on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. And please join. I think I've had the pleasure of, doing the technology component for the Zoom group and it's such a support, and they're all going through at different stages of, caring for the spouse, and their support for each other. They have great tips. And it's just a great group. So if you are caring for a spouse, this is something I really recommend you certainly check out. Then our social discussion group meets on Thursdays. This is also remaining virtual, and it's from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So if you're interested in that, call and we'll get the link over to you. Our Golden Hearts Bingo and blood pressure screening program is on Thursdays, and that kicked off yesterday at Roslyn Community Center from 12 to 1 p.m. That's a great group, and it's really gaining momentum because you can have a little fun playing bingo and still meet with a social worker and nurse while you do it. So that's that. We have today, our men's group began meeting. They decided they wanted to begin to meet in person again, and some want to meet virtual. So there's a hybrid situation going on over there. So that's for men in the community who are 60 and over, can come to the Hillside Library, which is on Lakeville Road, on Fridays from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Or you could call to do to get the link to do it virtually. So great stuff on that front. And we have also, I think there's a few spots left. I'm really excited for this group. It's called This Life of Mine: Sharing and Creating New Memories Through Journaling. We're always talking about the importance of kind of the therapeutic nature and getting your stories out there. And I love this idea. And you get a little book, a keepsake book that kind of organizes all these thoughts, which I think is nice to share with your family and your friends too. So that starts Monday. So call 311. That's going to be at the Westbury Public Library at 11:30 a.m. So there's a couple of spots left for that.
All right, well, we actually have to take a quick break, Kristina, and we will be right back with Talk of the Town. You're listening to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Los and Kristina Liu, who is the radio show producer and also is leading us through this segment, the last hour of the show, which is called Talk of the Town. And we are learning what's going on in North Hempstead. And we're also talking.
That's right.
In our little community.
That's right. And there's certainly so much going on, as we had touched upon. There's also a new group I really want to get the word out about. It is facilitated by Krista, who's one of our fabulous social workers. And she was getting a lot of calls about just creating a coping with loss support group. And this group is going to be, if you lost just any loved one, to join that. It's going to be for 6 sessions. It starts October 12th. It's going to be at the Hillside Public Library. So please call and register, because I think Krista's fabulous, and to have that kind of network of support will be wonderful. So,
is there a limit for that? Do we know?
She she hasn't set one yet. So I would think usually these support groups, we like to keep like 10 people,
right?
Just to keep it manageable. So that would be it. But if enough people call, and there is, we would be able to kind of figure out a way to maybe have 2 or something. So I always encourage people to call. And find out, if there's space available. And if not, we'll try and figure out something. Otto had mentioned during the break, it is flu shot time again. So we have our seasonal flu shots are scheduled through the Northwell Health Nurses. Will be providing that. And they will be offering the enhanced flu vaccine and the regular flu vaccine. The vaccines are quadrivalent and preservative free. I always have to try to get that out every year. So there's going to be 4 different dates. We're going to have, it starts October 17th at the Great Neck Social Center. On October 18th, it will be at the Port Washington Adult Activity Center. October 19th at Clinton G. Martin Park. And October 26th at Yes We Can in Westbury. Appointments are required. I've been getting so many registrations actually coming in already, which is great, because you could tell they saw every time the Pioneer or the e-newsletter hits.
Right.
You get an influx of things, which is really great that people are thinking about this. Otto, I know you had some questions during the break about COVID boosters and kind of how to schedule it. Once again, I want to encourage everyone, please call 311. You'll be connected to one of our Project Independence nurses, and they could kind of discuss with you one-on-one about your options. And obviously, it's always good to talk to your physician first as well. So definitely call to register for that. It's never too early to schedule it. I know October seems far away, but I thought September seemed far away, and here we are.
Like that.
So that's really it. September 18th is the Stop Program event that we always encourage everyone to check out.
One of Otto's top 5 events I have.
That's right. Otto, are you going to be attending this event? I hope you are.
I'm going to be going with my shredding stuff, which I just keep piling up.
That's right. But you have your 3 different boxes, I assume.
3 different boxes. Right?
There you go.
So if anyone's listening and they want to meet Otto in person,
That's right. Right, you could have something
Top of it.
shredded, and then you can meet Otto. Otto,
Right.
you'll have to let us know when your appearance will be had.
well worth it.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a shredder at home, and I was doing my own shredding. And what happens is
Oh, I know.
your own shredder, before you
Breaks.
know it, the paper's spilling all over the floor, and it doesn't take a whole lot of paper to fill up one of them shredders. So it's much easier to just put it in a shredding box. And when the stop program shows up, you bring it, there's no cost, and they kill it.
Yep, that's it. And and on top of Otto's talking about shredding, but on top of that, you can get rid of it's disposing of things safely. So it's aerosols, it's different household chemicals, rechargeable batteries, TVs, computers, fertilizers. I mean, these are so many things that I think all of us have, like, in our shed or in our garage, left over from something that's expired, God knows when. So I think it's a great time to kind of just gather these things and then just bring them on down to the STOP program. And you could also donate to the Big Brothers Big Sisters Long Island has a van there that then they will take so many of other products, kind of household things. So whether it's like gently used clothes or stuffed animals or different electronics and toys and sporting equipment, there is such a plethora of things that the STOP program takes, and there, of course, there's a list of some things they're not allowed to take, different medications is not, for this kind of forum. But call 311 and find out specifically, because the list is really, really long. So it's a great reason to clear out your life, start a new season kind of fresh. So that is September 18th at North Hempstead Beach Park between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So definitely check that out. And the next one will be November 20th at North Hempstead Beach Park as well.
And Otto will be at that one too, right?
Right.
Maybe.
That's right.
Maybe.
Depends
All right.
on how much paper he accumulates in between. those
Right.
things. You never know.
You make a habit of doing it. It's especially like the other stuff you described, the electronics, the aerosol cans.
Yes.
And that. Eventually, you wind up, you don't have too many of them left if you do it as a course of habit.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any of that this time. Although I should look. There is stuff in the garage.
No, that's such a good point, and I think that's something that we always kind of, touch upon. It's, if you do things little by little, yes, it might seem like you're doing, more work, but you're really actually saving yourself work, because, you're doing like little maintenance, and this goes with so many different aspects of your life, and especially in the, organizing world of things, because it can just, before you know it, pile up. I always laugh. I say I'm in a constant state of like organizing or fixing a drawer or putting something in a clear container. The amount of clear containers I have in the house are just, because I just feel like, all right, this way I'm just going to organize my life and know where everything is. But it really is important.
Because you're not organized already, right?
But it can spiral like real fast. Like all of a sudden you're like, where did I just accumulate all this like junk?
Organizing it is a constant thing that you have to do. You don't just get organized.
Yeah.
You have to keep being.
And you don't just stay organized. You really got to
work. It's work. Don't get me wrong. Requires effort.
But it feels good. I could speak firsthand. It feels like, nice to kind of purge sometimes. And especially, I love with the STOP program, when you donate, I personally at home donate to Big Brothers Big Sisters Long Island.
Yeah.
Periodically. Because you could just put the bag, you schedule it, and I get text message and email notifications when they say, hey, we're going to be in your area if you have anything. So that to me is like, I was like, oh, this is great, because Otto, as you said, I have a bag that I keep in the garage of clothes that like I just want to get rid of. And when it gets to be like a substantial amount, I schedule a pickup. And they come right to your house, so it's really, really great. And it's a smooth process. So I encourage people, if you can't get out, that's a great opportunity.
Well, clothes is another subject by itself. Like I have a thing about shirts, golf shirts, all right? You can never have enough golf shirts.
I like it.
And the facts are you can have a lot of golf shirts. And you can't, and so once in a while I'll go through them. And because I want to get some new ones,
I like that.
you have to go through them and you say, God, like my granddaughter, who you guys met, Jen, she sent me a picture not long ago with her as a little kid and now her now, and I had the same shirt on in both pictures. So it was like
Oh,
20
that can't
years
happen,
apart.
Otto. You
So
got to
that
do
shirt
something
was
about
20 years.
that.
Otto was absolutely mortified, is what this.
No, but the shirt was in good shape. I keep them clean and
I
whatever.
know it's tough. Listen,
Uh,
it's you're preaching to someone who struggle. I've gotten better with disposing of old clothes. But there's some, and the problem is I'll whip it out too, So it's a tough. You really need to talk to yourself about it. But I really try to, seasonally kind of go through and see like what was used, what wasn't used. Especially, and this goes for shoes and pocketbooks. All these things can accumulate very quickly. So it's definitely important to kind of do. And
well, you know what
go to
happens
a good cause.
when you get older, men I'm talking about, all of a sudden you put a pair of pants on and you look like, this is not derogatory, but you look like a guy working on a farm because they're like too long and they bulk up. And my bride will remind me, she says, they're pretty long. And actually, they're the same size I wore, a few years back, but you shrink. So the sizes become different. And now you need a different length.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just but
Just go with it, right?
just go with it, and it's nice to
Get
know
that new
that.
link.
And you could donate to these different organizations that will make good use of these things, especially when they're in good condition. So
Right.
it's definitely important. So it's all about getting organized, people. We are in fall now, so it's a good seasonal kind of change to do that. There's also going to be a free rabies clinic for all those people out there that have a little pet. So you could do that on October 1st from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's at the Town of North Hempstead Animal Shelter. It's for dogs, cats, and ferrets. I love that they add ferrets. I'm always curious to know how many ferrets come to the rabies clinic, but apparently it was in high demand that they got added to the list. So that is really important to do if you are a pet owner, to maintain these up-to-date kind of shots for your pet's well-being and for other pets out there. So that's October 1st, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Town of North Hempstead Animal Shelter.
Now, Christina, here's one more for you, all right? We had a segment on at the beginning about successful aging strategies.
Yes.
And I don't think we should go with the show without mentioning Queen Elizabeth, who,
Yeah.
if there was ever a person, even despite the fact, yes, I understand, she grew up in a different world than any of us would ever be involved with. But she was an example of successful aging.
Yep.
All right. Why? I mean, it starts going way back. World War II. She was involved with World War II, which is what was different about that war is that everybody was involved. It didn't matter who you were. Like in my baseball world, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, whatever. Everybody was involved. Different topic that is, but the fact that the Queen, I read in today's paper this morning, actually used Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, the Queen of England, who, you would not think that she would be doing Instagram, but she also adapted to change.
Yep. She did like a tour of the Game of Thrones set, which just cracked me up. I was watching something about her this morning, and it was like, and just like these like little appearances she would do in like kind of like pop culture-y kind of things, and it just made me laugh because she wouldn't sit in the Game of Thrones throne because she could like only sit on her own throne, which just was like endlessly amusing to me. But it really was, I always just loved her. I think because I just loved her little like matching outfits, as well, and it's really and I think what was they were talking about it, and everyone of course has their different opinions on things, but what I think everyone could agree on is that she was a person that, to me, that my grandparents, like, she was in their lifetime, and then my parents and me, and then, the generation, it's like, so for someone to have been involved and a staple in like, just the world of things to know is just, is incredible. So
There's not many people alive today that can maybe even recall before her.
Right.
The Queen, the royalty before her, because
But I mean, despite the fact that she lived the life she lived, she had a lot of hurdles in her life also, starting with things like World War II
Mm-hmm.
and being bombed and whatever. Uh, and her ability to handle those things, if you will. And apparently she had quite a sense of humor, which
Mm-hmm.
didn't always come out.
Right.
And she liked to laugh. And yet she had.
She also liked a good martini, like every night, which I
Yes,
loved about her.
that was in secret, I'm sure. But
Yes, it was.
her and Philip, I'm sure, had many an evening where they just sat and toasted each other,
Right.
and nobody around. And it's all I'm saying is, no matter what your lot in life,
Mm-hmm.
she is just a human being and a person
Mm-hmm.
who is planted into a position that none of us could ever understand.
Yeah.
But that's her entry level in life.
Mm-hmm.
And she handled her entry level very graciously and with a lot of class. And is it a good example for anybody? I don't care who you are in life. How to age and how to live.
Yeah.
She had stuff. I mean, her family was messed up at times.
Mm-hmm.
Just like everybody.
Of course. Yeah,
So
it's just different
she,
degrees, right?
she's an exception to a lot of celebrity stuff. She's very worthy of mentioning, in my opinion.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I agree. I certainly agree with that. So
I
thank
agree.
you for that, Otto. So also coming up, we have on October 1st is Fall Festival, which is great. It's such a perfect family fun kind of day, and that's from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at North Hempstead Beach Park. As we get closer, I'm sure we'll have more information on all the details with that. I had mentioned earlier about the STOP program, but we also have the Shed the Meds pharmaceutical drop-off. Since you can't bring medications to the STOP program, you could bring it to the Shed the Meds program, and that's on Saturday, October 8th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Tully Park in New Hyde Park. So I encourage people to do that. That's something we talk about a lot on the show, is how fast that can accumulate. I mean, that literally can accumulate. Like within a few months, you'll have all these unused pills and sample, whether it's over the counter or, prescription based. So certainly important to get rid of that safely. That's October 8th. And then we have on October 12th, there's going to be a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration the town is doing at the Yes We Can Community Center in Westbury. You can call 311 for more information on that. And then there's another program that I always love because I always love the flyer for it. It's an autumn treat. It's on October 14th at 7 p.m. at the Clubhouse at Harbor Lakes. It's really great. They're going to have a bunch of different musical performances, and it's the Just the 60s band, and they're going to cover all the greatest hits from the 60s. And after the performance, this is the best part, you can enjoy treats and desserts, including assorted cakes, ice cream, treats, coffee, tea, and apple cider. There'll also be a cash bar. Tickets are $20 per person. You can call 311 to get more information about that. But I think that's such a nice little fall event. So check that out. And then, of course, we have our veteran celebration will be on Friday, November 4th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Clinton G. Martin Park. So register for that as well. So there's so much coming up. Definitely, you could always call 311 or 516-869-6311 to get more information about any of the programs I discussed or what's going on in the town, or just if you want to talk to someone, you can do that as well. So,
what about Bed and Breakfast Month?
Oh, Bed and Breakfast Month.
Yeah, I saw there was a flyer that you sent actually.
Did I?
Bed and Breakfast Month.
Oh, Better Breakfast. I think you said Bed and Breakfast Month.
I know, that's what I thought you said too. I was
lining up. Yeah.
Did we miss that, Kristina?
I thought I missed it. I was like, I'm sending a flyer of something I don't know about.
Well, the problem with that is, first of all, I'll give you a little story about that. Mm-hmm. My father, who had stomach cancer way back, was told by his doctor he didn't eat breakfast at the point, all right? And his doctor told him that the most important meal of the day after that is breakfast, all right? So he became a big breakfast eater after that. The problem, of course, is what is a better breakfast? Bacon.
Yes, and that's why it's if I can find my paper, I'm a mess right now. But I believe it's on September 28th. sticks in my head. And that is going to be at Magnolia Gardens. This is through one of the programs, the Cornell Cooperative Extension, Nassau County, and they will give you all the tips. Yep, it is September 28th. So call 311 to register for that.
Well, that's it. I mean, this another great show, Kristina. Great job. Thank you for bringing Ron on and all the information, what's going on in the town. Otto, of course, thanks for being the best co-host for Project Independence in you. And
Well, you're the best
also
host.
with your wife.
You're the best host.
That's
Hey.
right. You're a
Dan
good
is the
team,
best
guys.
producer,
We're a good team. And Dan,
We're
too.
good.
Dan is
family,
the
that's
best
right.
engineer.
We'll be back next week with another great show. Everyone listening and watching, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. You're listening to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Be well all.